All right, so we're on to our last district. So our next candidate is Tommy Sofield. He's Appalachian State alumni, local business owner, and real estate developer. He's a member of the Watauga County Economic Development Council and is on the board of directors with First Citizens Bank. He's recently served his church, Mount Vernon Baptist Church, as chairman on the board of the financing committee, and in 2017, Appalachian State Alumni Association awarded him an Outstanding Achievement Award. So, Tommy, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So we're doing the same 6 questions for everybody, and Craig's our timekeeper back there. We're here in the hospital tonight, but what role does recreation infrastructure play in the health of our community? What intersections do you see there?
As far as the impact of the health of our community, obviously recreation is a big part of all of our lives. As far as the quality of life, the ability to be able to see from 2 years old all the way up to senior citizens, to be able to have a community where you have the support of your community for the health and recreation. I had as far as up here, the sports training program. One of the things that I think is big for the recreation would be our young children being able to start out at a young age training in the sports properly, having proper training. I know off the mountain they have programs where they teach them how to run in different sports, speed control and things like that. That's a big part of what, as this new rec center comes on, hopefully we'll be able to implement here in the county. So as far as the quality of the recreation, them being able to learn how to participate in sports, learning how to get along with their other teammates, how important team sports are. Recreation is a big part of my life. I obviously played football all the way through and came to Appalachian on a football scholarship, so recreation has always been a big part of my life, and also just the teamwork that goes along with it. So we're excited to be able to have our children have the quality opportunity to be able to have the programs we have up here. The biggest thing I think we need to do is make sure that we have the proper leadership and guidance when the kids are coming along. We do a great job with a lot of parents that are coaching and things like that. I know a lot of the communities off the mountain have the opportunity where they have people that are able to have better coaching.
Switching gears a little bit from healthcare to economic development, what role do you see recreation and recreation infrastructure playing in economic development?
That's a big part of it. I know, I'm a businessman and I was on the EDC. When they talk about coming to a community, one of the first things they look at is the market itself. What kind of market, as businesses come into a new community, they talk about the market that they're trying to sell into. The second most important thing that they do when they come somewhere is really the skill for labor. One of the good things we have in our community here for the skilled labor is as you start down there in Raleigh with the EDC, if somebody was looking to relocate a business, and let's say they were interested in the mountain scenery or something of that nature, the EDC can come down here and say to be able to train the workforces. We got a great opportunity with Appalachian being able to train people, our Caldwell Community College and our high school, to be able to train skilled workers. And the third thing I always look at is the quality of life wherever they go live. So as these businesses look for those things, our quality of life here in Boone, living in the mountains, having trails and bike trails, having different things that you can do from that standpoint is critical. And having a proper run rec center and all the parks and the things we have would be a big asset for our community.
You mentioned bike trails, and Rocky Knob is obviously something that is part of our recreation infrastructure. Same with the Ted Mack soccer complex, and the county has given funds at times to help support those. Do you think the county should invest money in local recreation infrastructure like that? Why or why not?
Yeah, I think county definitely needs to. I think from a business standpoint, though, we have got if you look at other communities and the way they have been able to do things, I'm an opponent of being able to go. We all pay state tax. We all pay federal tax. There's opportunity at a state level and at the federal level to get grants to help support those things from an economical standpoint, as far as us being able to move forward with better parks, better recreation center, all the different things that we have. So I'm all about, let's find out all the different opportunities are out there first from the state level. I know in a lot of communities, which we don't have here, but you have large corporations that come next, and those corporations will step up and help the community as far as supplying funds and different things like that for whatever kind of recreation there might be. And then there's a lot of family foundations and things that love to support those kind of activities. So I think the very last thing we need to be doing is paying our taxpayers' money for things that we might be able to go find first, and then whatever shortfalls left over afterwards, it's obviously should be available and be there for it. But a lot of times as you get these other people more involved in it, there's a great opportunity for them to get involved in the overall concept of what we're doing. And they tend to be more successful when you have a wide variety of people participating instead of just our taxpayers.
So on September 18th, the Board of Commissioners voted 5-0 to move forward on funding the construction of the new community rec center. Would you have voted for this, yes or no? Why or why not?
I would have voted for it, yes, but the concern I would have is once it's here, I'd be concerned. My main concern I have today is, do we need a rec center? Absolutely. YMCA is probably the best thing that's ever happened in the United States in all of our local towns and everywhere else. So as far as the YMCA's and the opportunity for the children to have rec centers and things like that, very, very critical. My concern is in a small community we're in, is the expense we're getting ready to put in there into the rec center of $38 million. We now need to make sure that we are the best we can be in our community utilizing it. From 2-year-old children learn how to swim all the way to our seniors. Our seniors are sitting out in the county right now in their homes with not a lot of activities and things going on. Being able to make sure that we have a plan in place to service everybody, not just the local children and things, but everybody in our community. This is a business. This thing's, when you start talking $40 million, it's a business. And a $40 million business needs to be run properly. So I think we have a big opportunity in front of us to make sure that we approach this thing in a business manner to make it profitable, not only for all of our citizens financially, but also let's be the very best we can be in the western part of the states. When people look at it, they can say, wow, you can go to Boone, North Carolina, they always got tournaments going on, or they have things up there and they got an unbelievable rec center that they can participate in.
So that's a follow-up to that. So will you support the completion of the recreation center as it's currently planned, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So last question's about Middle Fork Greenway. So they recently received a grant of $450,000 that required matching funds. And you talked about grants before. The state funds this type of recreation, awarding $6.7 million across the state this last year. Do you think the county should invest money in constructing the Middle Fork Greenway? Yes or no? Why or why not?
Yes, I think they should. And again, going back to those same issues, I happen to have a development down at the coast, and there was a fund from the from the federal DOT. And the fund was $150 million, and it was usually it's for urban areas is what they've been doing, but lately this fund came out for the rural areas. And in the rural areas, Brunswick County applied for that grant, and they happen to be going through a piece of property I'm developing down there, and they're having about 8 miles of trails that will go through my property. So what I'm getting at is there's a lot of opportunity for local businesses and local people to help support the trails. If we had the Virginia Creeping Trail that goes from over here in Damascus, if we had trail going from Blowing Rock all the way to Todd, what kind of impact it would be for our area? So it'd be wonderful. But what we need to do is figure out how we're going to pay for it. And again, there's a lot of foundations and a lot of ways that we need to look at first before we put the burden on our citizens to be paying for it. Let's turn over every rock we can first, and then go in there and finish it out with whatever kind of funding we need.
Sofield, thank you so much for coming. All right, so last of our individual questions is Charlie Wallin, Democrat from District 5, and he's lived in the high country for the past 28 years. He's currently employed by Appalachian State as the Director of Catering, and during his 28 years, he's advocated for recreation as a coach, player, and parent, as well as being involved in many area nonprofits, including Oasis, Hunger Coalition, Hospitality House, Grace Lutheran Church and Parkway School, where his 10-year-old daughter attends. So welcome, Charlie. Thanks for coming. All right, so we're going to run through 6 questions, same ones we've been doing for everybody. We're here at Watauga Medical Center. So first question is just about recreation infrastructure and what role that plays in the health of our community.
I think it plays a huge role in our community. One of the estimates of the rec center is the savings that it'll have in this area for health costs. I mean, we're looking at annually over $500 that it could save people in their health costs, and that's just tremendous. One of the other things that I think is really critical is I'm a living example right now of what recreation and taking time to invest in your body can do. I just spent 2 years working with my doctor, taking more time out to run and be outside and enjoying the outdoors, running 3 miles every morning, working with him with my diet, and after 2 years, I've dropped 80 pounds and I'm off all medications. And he wrote, actually, he said, I never thought I'd ever write this. He wrote perfect across my test scores. So, that's what recreation can do for this area. And that's what being able to have good facilities, a good place to go can do for your body and for the community. Another study that was done showed that 25% of all people in North Carolina who are obese or overweight have pretty much zero recreation, any athletic, any kind of movement at all. And if we could just get half of those people moving, it would be wonderful, and we could reduce the health problems that we have in this country and in this state, and the burden it places on places like the hospital and the doctors.
Switching gears to talk about economic development, what role does recreation infrastructure play in economic development?
Recreation is a huge boost to this area. I don't think people fully appreciate how many people come to this high country to enjoy, whether it's the rivers or the mountains or the bike parks or the trails that we've got or all the different outdoor activities that we have in this area. The economic impact that it has in this area is tremendous, and the dollars that it brings in and the tourists it brings in. I have my best friend in high school, growing up, her son is a freshman at App this year, and he looked at me and he said, "Do you know why I'm here?" And I said, "No." I said, "Why are you here?" He says, "Because of the outdoor opportunities and the things that I can do." And the mountain biking was huge for him because that was a big deal for he and his father and his grandfather when his grandmother passed away. So to hear stories like that of people who come and seek this place out just for the recreational opportunities and the things that we can do and the dollars that it puts back, because every dollar that is spent is a return of $2.40 in this area. And that's just huge for an economic boom and what it feeds back into this area on a day-to-day basis.
So you mentioned mountain biking. So Rocky Knob and Ted Mack are examples of where the county has invested in local recreation infrastructure. Do you think the county should be investing money in local recreation infrastructure? Yes or no? Why or why not?
Yes, I do. Like I said, it's only a win-win for everybody when we invest in recreation. A few years ago, we had a county commission that turned down grant funding for various reasons. And, anytime we can get money to funnel back into recreation, it should be an immediate thing that we jump on. Because all the opportunities that we have in this area that we can promote and use recreation for is only going to move this county forward and only going to bring more people here, which is just going to bring more tourism dollars, which is only going to help our local economy to be fed back. And so I think any opportunity the county can to help funnel money, whether it's the Conservancy, helping get more land under Conservancy like we did like over at Grandfather Mountain that just got transferred over so that that area is beautified. Anything that we can do. One of the things in the strategic plan that was written for this county back in 2010 that I was a part of and chair of was the big factor in that plan was preserving this environment and preserving it for recreational needs and for the enjoyment and the beauty of everyone.
So last month, September 18th, the Board of Commissioners voted 5-0 to move forward on funding the construction of a new recreation center. Would you have voted for this, yes or no? Why or why not?
Yes, I would have voted for it. And I would have voted for it back in 2010 when it was, and I voted for the referendum. I was on board. I sat in meetings with everyone back in 2008, 2009, 2010 when this whole thing started, setting up at the Broyhill Inn. And I can remember those nights. There was about 12, 15, maybe 20 of us in the rooms up there at the Broyhill planning for recreation and trying to get this off the ground. And it was a sad day when it failed. At that point in time, we were looking at a $14 million facility if we'd have just went forward with it then and had the foresight to keep going. Now we're looking at $38 million. So think of how much more we could have spent and built and what we could be doing now and we could be using to help improve schools and stuff, and we'd already have the rec center built. But because of things that happened back then and the transition in government, the rec center never got built, and now we're looking at over double the cost of what it would have been if we'd have just built it back in 2010 when it was needed then as well as it is now.
So following up on that, will you support the completion of the recreation center as it's currently planned, yes or no?
Yes, I will. I will complete it as it is written and planned, because you can't start cutting stuff out of this facility now, because if you do, you're only going to hurt your return on the building. Because, one less basketball court, 2 less basketball courts, that's less tournaments we can have. That's less places where you can have, when you can have bringing in basketball tournaments. Or if you wanted to turn it into an indoor soccer facility, that's less square footage you've got to be able to maximize what you're going to be able to bring to this area. Just like if you was to cut out part of the swimming, we need a competition pool. We need whatever we can put into that facility and to utilize it to its maximum and not start cutting corners just because we want to save some cost.
So you mentioned trails earlier. Middle Fork Greenway recently received a grant of $450,000 that required matching funds. Mm-hmm. And the state funds this type of recreation, awarding $6.7 million across the state this past year. Do you think the county should invest money in constructing the Middle Fork Greenway, yes or no? Why or why not?
I think we should look at all opportunities to fund anything that we can to help out with any greenway projects, to help connect our communities, connect our natural resources, our parks, anything that we can do to help better what we have here, I think is a huge investment, and we're going to see a return. We're going to see a return in the end of more people coming to this area, more people spending money, because you got to think about it when they come in here and they spend money at a local hotel or at a local restaurant. That money in turn is going into the pockets of a waiter or waitress or a hotel person, and then they're turning around and spending it in the community. Like I said earlier, for every dollar spent, you got $2.40 that's being reinvested into the local community. So I think any opportunity that we can have as commissioners to promote greenways, to try to find matching funds, to look for different grants, to try to figure out how we can invest is the only way that we're going to make this county a better place to live.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.